great morning. Buenos dias. Welcome back, welcome back. So today we are reading from Genesis 43, 44, and 45. And so we continue the story of Joseph. Right now he is basically the governor of the whole Egypt, and there's a famine. And so his brothers from a whole nother from Canaan had to come to Egypt to get food, and it was coming from their brother, but they didn't know. And so now we're in a place where Joseph told them to go back to their father to go get their younger brother, and bring them back just to show that they're not spies or anything like that. So, all right, let's get to it. Genesis 43. Jacob lets Benjamin go to Egypt. The famine was very bad in that country. The people ate all the grain they had brought from Egypt. When that grain was gone, Jacob said to his sons, "Go to Egypt and buy some more grain for us to eat." But Judah said to Jacob, "But the governor of that country warned us. He said, 'If you don't bring your brother back to me, I will refuse to talk to you. If you send Benjamin with us, we will go down and buy grain. But if you refuse to send Benjamin, we will not go.' The man warned us not to come back without him." Israel said, "Why did you tell him you had another brother? Why did you do such a bad thing to me?" The brothers answered, "He asked a lot of questions. He wanted to know all about us and about our family. He asked us, 'Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother at home?' We only answered his questions. We didn't know he would ask us to bring our brother to him." Then Judah said to his father Israel, "Let Benjamin go with me. I will take care of him. We have to go to Egypt to get food. If we don't go, we all will die, including our children. I will make sure he is safe. I will be responsible for him. If I don't bring him back to you, you can blame me forever. If you had let us go before, we could have already made 2 trips for food." Then their father Israel said, "If it is really true, take Benjamin with you, but take some gifts to the governor. Take some of the things we have been able to gather in our land. Take some honey, pistachio nuts, almonds, spices, and myrrh. Take twice as much money with you this time. Take the money that was given back to you after you paid last time. Maybe the governor made a mistake. Take Benjamin and go back to the man. I pray that God all powerful will help you when you stand before the governor. I pray that he will let Benjamin and also Simeon come back safely. If not, I will again be sad from losing my children." So the brothers took the gifts to give to the governor, and the brothers took twice as much money with them as they took the first time. This time Benjamin went with the brothers to Egypt, the brothers at Joseph's house. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to his servant, "Bring these men into my house. Kill an animal and cook it. They will eat with me at noon today." The servant did as he was told. He brought the men into Joseph's house. The brothers were afraid when they were taken to Joseph's house and said, "We have been brought here because of the money that was put back in our sacks the last time. They will use this as proof against us and steal our donkeys and make us slaves." So the brothers went to the servant in charge of Joseph's house. They said, "Sir, I promise this is the truth. The last time we came to buy food. On the way home, we opened our sacks and found our money in every sack. We don't know how it got there, but we brought that money with us to give back to you, and we have brought more money to pay for the food that we want to buy this time." But the servant answered, "Don't be afraid. Believe me, your God, the God of your father, must have put the money in your sack as a gift. I remember that you paid me for the grain last time." Then the servant brought Simeon out of the prison. The servant led the men into Joseph's house. He gave them water and washed their feet. Then he fed their donkeys. The brothers heard that they were going to eat with Joseph, so they worked until noon, preparing their gifts for him. When Joseph came home, the brothers gave him the gifts they had brought with them. Then they bowed down to the ground in front of him. Joseph asked them, how they were doing. Then he said, "How is your elderly father you told me about? Is he alive, still alive?" The brothers answered, "Yes, sir. Our father is still alive." And they again bowed before Joseph. Then Joseph saw his brother Benjamin. Benjamin and Joseph had the same mother. Joseph said, "Is this your youngest brother that you told me about?" Then Joseph said to Benjamin, "God bless you, my son." Joseph felt a strong desire to show his brother Benjamin that he loved him. He was about to cry and didn't want his brothers to see him. So he ran into his private room and cried. Then Joseph washed his face and came out. He regained control of himself and said, "Now it's time to eat." The servants seated Joseph at a table by himself. His brothers were at another table by themselves, and the Egyptians were at a table by themselves. The Egyptians believed that it was wrong for them to eat with the Hebrews. Joseph's brothers were seated at a table facing them. The brothers looking at each other because to their surprise, they had been seated in order from the oldest to the youngest. Servants were taking food from Joseph's table and bringing it to them, but the servants gave Benjamin 5 times more than the others. The brothers continued to eat and drink with Joseph until they were drunk. Genesis 44. Joseph sets a trap. Then Joseph gave a command to his servant. He said, "Fill the men's sacks with as much grain as they can carry. Then put each man's money into his sack with the grain. Put the youngest brother's money in his sack too, but also put my special silver cup in his sack." So the servant obeyed Joseph. Early the next morning, the brothers and their donkeys were sent back to their country. After they had left the city, Joseph said to his servant, "Go and follow the men. Stop them and say to them, 'We were good to you, so why have you been bad to us? Why did you steal my master's silver cup? My master drinks from that cup, and he uses it to learn secret things. What you did was wrong." So the servant obeyed. He rode out to the brothers and stopped them. The servant said to them what Joseph had told them to say. But the brothers said to the servant, "Why does the governor say these things? We wouldn't do anything like that? We brought back the money that we found in our sacks before, so surely he wouldn't we wouldn't steal silver or gold from your master's house. If you find a silver cup in any of our sacks, let that man die. You can kill him, and we will be your slaves." The servant said, "I agree, except the only man who is found to have the cup will be my slave. The others will be free." The trap is sprung. Benjamin is caught. Then every brother quickly opened his sack on the ground. The servant started looking in the sacks. He started with the oldest brother and ended with the youngest. He found the cup in Benjamin's sack. The brothers were very sad. They tore their clothes to show their sadness. They put their sacks back on the donkey and went back to the city. When Judah and his brothers went back to Joseph's house, Joseph was still there. The brothers fell to the ground and bowed down before him. Joseph said to them, "Why have you done this? Didn't you know that I have a special way of learning secrets? No one is better at this than I am." Judah said, "Sir, there is nothing we can say. There is no way to explain. This is no way to show that we are not guilty. God has judged us guilty for something else we have done. So all of us, even Benjamin, will be your slaves." But Joseph said, "I will not make you all slaves. Only the man who stole the cup will be my slave. You others can go in peace to your father." Judah pleads for Benjamin. Then Judah went to Joseph and said, "Sir, please let me speak plainly with you. Please don't be angry with me. I know that you are like Pharaoh himself. When we were here before, you asked us, 'Do you have a father or a brother?' And we answered you, 'We have a father. He is an old man. And when we have a younger brother, our father loves him because he was born while our father was old. The youngest son brother is dead, and so he is the only son who is left from that mother. Our father loves him very much." Then he said to us, "Bring that brother to me." I went to see him, and we said to you, "That young boy cannot come. He cannot leave his father. If he if his father loses him, his father will be so sad that he will die." But you said to us, You must bring your youngest brother, or I will not sell your grain again." So we went back to our father and told him what you said. Later, our father said, "Go back and buy us some more food." We said to our father, "We cannot go without our youngest brother." The governor said he would not sell us grain again until he sees our youngest brother. Then my father said to us, "You know that my wife Rachel gave me two sons. I let one son go away, and he was killed by a wild animal, and I haven't seen him since. If you take my other son away from me, and something happens to him, I will be sad enough to die. Now imagine what will happen when we go home without our youngest brother. He is the most important thing in our father's life. Our father will die if he sees that the boy isn't with us, and it will be our fault. We will send our father to his grave, a very sad man." I took responsibility for the young boy. I told my father, "If I don't bring him back to you, you can blame me for the rest of my life. So now I beg you, please let the boy go back with his brothers, and I will stay and be your slave. I cannot go back to my father if the boy is not with me. I am very afraid of what will happen to my father." Joseph, Genesis 45, last chapter. Joseph tells who he is. Joseph could not control himself any longer. He cried in front of all the people who were there. Joseph said, "Tell everyone to leave here." So all the people left. Only the brothers were left with Joseph. Then he told them who he was. Joseph continued to cry, and all the Egyptian people in Pharaoh's house heard it. He said to his brothers, "I am your brother Joseph. Is my father doing well?" But the brothers did not answer him because they were confused and afraid. So Joseph said to his brothers again, "Come here to me. I beg you, come here." When the brothers went to him, he said to them, "I am your brother Joseph. I am the one you sold as a slave to Egypt. Now don't be worried. Don't be angry with yourselves for what you did. It was God's plan for me to come here. I am here to save people's lives. This terrible famine has continued for 2 years now, and there will be 5 more years without planting or harvest. So God sent me here ahead of you so that I can save your people in this country. It was not your fault that I was sent here. It was God's plan. God made me like a father to Pharaoh. I am the governor over all his house and over all Egypt." Israel invited to Egypt. Joseph said, "Hurry up and go to my father. Tell him his son Joseph sent this message. God made me the governor of Egypt. So come here to me quickly. Don't wait. You can live near me in the land of Goshen. You, your children, your grandchildren, and all your animals are welcome here. I will take care of you during the next 5 years of hunger. So you and your family will not lose everything you own. Surely you can see that I am Joseph. Even my brother Benjamin knows it's me, your brother, talking to you. So tell my father about the honor I've received here in Egypt. Tell him about everything you have seen here. Now hurry, go bring my father back to me." Then Joseph hugged his brother Benjamin, and they both began crying. Then Joseph cried as he kissed all his brothers. After this, the brothers began talking with him. Pharaoh learned that Joseph's brothers had come to him. This news spread throughout Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh and his servants were very excited. So Pharaoh told Joseph, "Tell your brothers to take all the food they need and go back to the land of Canaan. Tell them to bring your father and their families back here to me. I will give you the best land in Egypt to live on, and all your family can eat the best food we have here. Also, give your brothers some of our best wagons. Tell them to go to Canaan and bring your father and all the women and children back in the wagons. Don't worry about bringing all their belongings. We can give them the best of Egypt." So the sons of Israel did this. Joseph gave them good wagons, just as Pharaoh had promised, and Joseph gave them enough food for the trip. He gave each brother a suit of beautiful clothes. But to Benjamin, he gave 5 suits of beautiful clothes and 300 pieces of silver. Joseph also sent gifts to his father. He sent 10 donkeys with bags full of many good things from Egypt, and he sent 10 female donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and other food for his father on his trip back. Then Joseph told his brothers to go. While they were leaving, he said to them, "Go straight home and don't fight on the way." So the brothers left Egypt and went to their father in the land of Canaan. They told him, "Father, Joseph is still alive, and he is the governor over the whole country of Egypt." Their father did not know what to think. At first, he didn't believe them, but then he told everything. Then they told him everything Joseph had said. Then the father saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to him back to Egypt, to bring back to Egypt, and he became very excited and happy. Israel said, "Now I believe you. My son Joseph is still alive. Going to see him before I die." And that is the end. And so that was Genesis 43, 44, and 45. So let's recap. Let's talk about it. So in these chapters, we start off in chapter 43, and basically Jacob ends up letting Benjamin go to Egypt, and it took some convincing from Judah, but he finally let Benjamin go. And so let me back up some. So basically, Benjamin Benjamin is the youngest brother, and then Joseph is Benjamin, and then Joseph, and then all the other brothers. And so the brothers had sold in previous chapters. The brothers had sold Joseph off into slavery because they was jealous of him and everything like that. Um, and so Joseph had went down this whole story and just whole trial and tribulation of different things that happened to him. And then long story short, he ended up getting promoted to be the governor, to be second in command out of the whole Egypt. And so uh, he had basically told or explained one of Pharaoh's dreams, and Pharaoh basically put him in charge of everything. And so we see them go back to Joseph and bring these things, and Joseph prepares a feast for them. And so he's happy to see his brother, his youngest brother, and then um, he gets emotional about it, but then he planned to set a trap for them. So basically, he had the servants, the people that were serving them food, put a silver cup inside of the youngest brother's bag. So then, and then sent them off. So in order to set them up, he basically had the servant go and ask like who stole something from Joseph's house. And basically it was a setup, and they already knew that it was going to be Benjamin. So he was saying that, whoever stole it, we're gonna make that person a slave. But it was just a setup, just to bring them back. So it turns out Benjamin had the cup, so they came back, and and then that's when once they got back, that's when Judah started pleading and talking about his father is very old, and their interaction that happened before Israel or Jacob go by the same name. Um, Before he allowed Benjamin to go, he was so old, and then he also thought he lost his son Joseph, and so after hearing all of this, Joseph broke character and was just like, okay, I'm just gonna tell him, because this was a lot. So they found out that Joseph was or the governor is actually Joseph, and they didn't know what to think. They was confused. They were scared. But Joseph told them to go back and get my father. I'm gonna give y'all the best land, and then and the best things in Egypt. And Pharaoh backed it. Pharaoh was excited. His servants was excited, and so he told them to go back and get their father and come back and come back and live into the land so that they can survive through the famine. And so now we're here. Um, and man, this story, I think in this story, this is actually the story, or maybe we haven't got there yet. But this is the story that the verse comes from, that you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. That's where that saying comes from. Um, and so his brothers had meant to send him off into slavery. They wanted to kill him. Like they wanted to do all these bad things because they was jealous of him. But God just has a way of turning situations around. Like for Joseph, he turned the situation around. He was in prison. He was at the bottom, but because Joseph serves his God, and he shows in his actions with love and with kindness, he was able to be likable, and he was able to be use his gifts and his talents to help him transfer get himself to the top. And so that's an encouragement for all of us, to never grow weary in doing good, and to use your talents and the gifts that God gave you, use them for God's good, and you'll see yourself also when people try to mean something for bad, He'll turn around and do it for good in your life. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll start the next chapter in the next video. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.